Hello and welcome back to HLJ's official YouTube channel. I'm Adam and I'm here to guide you through the latest and greatest in terms of pre-orders on the HLJ.com website here in June. So I've got a wonderful overview of 8, maybe more than 8, exciting figures and model kits that I want to share with you today. Stuff that I think you guys should be pre-ordering if you haven't already. And maybe you'll find an interesting recommendation or two amongst what I've got to share with you. This is going to be a bit like Todd's Takes, but without Todd. And also, unlike Todd, I'm not going to talk just about kits. I'm also going to talk about figures as well. And yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, this one is hot off the presses. This actually just got added to the website maybe like 20 minutes ago at the time of recording. And that is the new, from Awashima, I believe this is a Plafig series kit of Destroyer from Godzilla. And I say Destroyer, I've never really been like certain on how to pronounce this. Destroyer, maybe. But actually Destroyer, however you want to say it. This is one of my favorite kaiju in all of Godzilla. And I'm really excited to be seeing a Plafig series kit. And so a Plafig from Awashima is like a kit that you build. It comes with pre-molded, pre-painted parts, but it actually produces like a figurine or action figure quality kind of model at the end of it that is slightly posable. And this one from Awashima is coming in at a very respectable 7,000 yen. And on the HLJ.com site at the moment, you can see all of the different angles of Destroyer. But actually, we got hands-on with Destroyer, I think at Shizuoka Hobby Show and various other events throughout the year. We've seen this kit and a few other Plafigs from Awashima on display as well. Now, back when we were deciding what to film this week, one of the ideas that was suggested, floated around, you could say, was a Godzilla movie tier list. Unfortunately, I was stopped from doing that, so I have effectively been censored by the powers that be, and there's nothing we can do about that. You know, we've been interfered with there. But if I did do that tier list, I would have told you that Destroyer plays a very prominent role in Godzilla versus Destroyer from the 90s, and I would put that movie in the S tier of Godzilla movies. And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? I think if you've seen it, you already know. But it's a deeply emotional, sentimental Godzilla movie. Not to spoil too much, but Godzilla does die in that one. And it's very, very sad. And there's a kind of a touching, father-son story, father-son narrative in Godzilla versus Destroyer. And so if you like Godzilla versus Destroyer, you'll probably enjoy this new upcoming Plafig from Awashima. And without even needing to paint it, you actually get a very high quality model for you to display just after assembly. But if you did want to paint it up some more, add some extra detail, you would get an even nicer end result with this one. Destroyer, of course, he's got these, actually I don't want to assume Destroyer's gender. Destroyer has got some nice wings with these wonderful details on the kind of, what do you call the bit on a wing, like in between the like little spines of the wing. Do you know what that's called, Louisa? I do. No. There's good detailing on the wing, on the sculpt of the wing. So if you like Destroyer, in addition to having a completed model after you build it, there's a lot of opportunity here to give this some extra detail with an extra coat of paint. And so, yeah, Godzilla versus Destroyer, S-tier Godzilla movie. I think we've established that. But this Plafig from Awashima is one of the first kits or figures I've seen of Destroyer in quite a long time that isn't a Sofubi. I have a few Sofubi of Destroyer myself. Again, it's one of my favorite Godzilla movies. I really like Destroyer. And this one is actually looking really exciting as well. So if you're looking to add a destroyer to your collection, I think this would be a good way to do so. And Awashima, of course, always delivers a very exceptional quality with their kits, so you can expect the same here as well. Okay, so the next figure on my recommendation list that I have for you here today is Figma, Winged Victory of Samothrace. So those of you who are familiar with culture and history may know that this statue is well known for depicting Nike, the winged goddess of victory, alighting on the prow of a warship to celebrate a naval triumph. So I know many of you in the audience are probably fans of the degenerate mobile game, Nike, Goddess of Victory. This is the original Nike that Nike is based on, I guess. And as someone, I own some Figma, I believe this is called the Figma Museum series. And I own some Figma Museum series myself. They're cute little representations of iconic artwork and statues. And they're always really, really impressive. And what I like about this Winged Victory of Samothrace is you can actually pose this statue in various ways. Obviously, the statue itself in real life, in history, is relatively unmoving. But of course, this statue, it's missing its head. And one of the unique features of this Figma version of the Winged Victory is that you can actually kind of complete the statue. You can have, place what the head would have been on the sculpture. And so that's really interesting and exciting. If you're a fan of, art and art history, these various different Figma table museum entries, when you display them all along in a line together, it makes a very compelling display. And I think this Winged Victory of Samothrace is it's a good place to start if you actually haven't got one of those Figma museum entries yet. And I think this is one of the more interesting statues that exists in general. Maybe that's controversial, I don't know. I'm not really attuned to what's being said in the statue community, but in terms of statues, I think this one has a very compelling design, and there's a lot of storied history behind it. And so again, I know many of you are fans of this type of Nike, but this is the original Nike, and maybe it might benefit you to understand and experience Nike from the perspective of real theological history rather than this mobile game. And so we've got a lot of Nike figures, of course, if you're into this Nike, but this is another type of Nike figure, and I hope that you'll consider pre-ordering it. This is actually a reissue. It came out once before, but it's getting reissued again later this year, so it's a good second chance for those of you who missed it. And the next figure I'd like to talk about is from Silent Hill. This is Nendoroid Red Pyramid Thing. And this is actually also a reissued product. We've had Red Pyramid Thing once before. But back in my day, because I'm incredibly old, when Silent Hill was localized and released on the PlayStation 1 in England, we also used to call this character Pyramid Guy or Pyramid Head. But the official name is Red Pyramid Thing. I don't know if anyone in the comments can give me some additional context on this. In Japanese, like Pyramid Yatsu, I think is the term used. And I'm kind of interested as to why we all call this character Pyramid Head. I guess it makes sense. They have a pyramid head. But, something that's kind of interesting about this Nendoroid is that it kind of defies some of the usual tropes of Nendoroid production design in favor of making it more game accurate. And so kind of the usual proportions you would expect from the Nendoroid are still definitely here, and it will look good alongside your other Nendoroids. But of course, because it's got a pyramid head, it's a lot more angular in nature. And I think that makes it quite an exciting, interesting addition to the Nendoroid series. And actually this comes with a few different accessories as well. You've got a nice spear, and he comes with a great sword as well. Outside of that, not too many accessories on this one, but I think the overall design and the majesty of this particular pyramid head character is going to be really appealing for you Silent Hill fans, especially those of you who are really into Silent Hill 2, which I think is probably the best one. I don't think that's a controversial statement. I think most people agree that Silent Hill 2 is the best one, but I'm getting some confused looks. So maybe there are fans of Silent Hill 1 in the crowd, or Silent Hill F. I don't know. Silent Hill F was well received, right? Yeah. But Silent Hill 2 is the best one. And if you agree with that statement, then you'll probably like this Nendoroid that we've got here as well. What's your favorite Silent Hill?
Silent Hill F.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so moving on swiftly to the next figure recommendation. The next one I want to talk about is the T60 Power Armor Plamatia, and this is based on the Fallout series. So something that I already mentioned in a separate article about the recent Good Smile event, where we saw a lot of different new figures and new kits on display, is this particular kit in the Plamatia series might be one of the first ever releases based on this particular T60 Power Armor design from Fallout. And this one is coming in at a respectable 8,900 Japanese yen. But with that, you get a very, very large model kit and a wide variety of accessories as well. So this is based on one of the newer designs of the Power Armor in Fallout, the T60 style. And when you build this kit, just based on the elements that are in the box, I would say the pieces themselves are molded and painted enough that you don't actually need to do any additional work to this kit to get a complete model. And it kind of looks like a fairly standard new T60 Power Armor suit once you've completed the assembly. However, what's kind of cool to me about this one is that the T60 Power Armor within the game series, there's actually a lot of opportunities to see different types of T60 Power Armor with different colorations. I know that I remember from the DLC of Fallout 4, there was the Nuka-Cola version of the T60 Power Armor. So I'm personally very curious about what professional modelers are going to do when they get their hands on this kit, because I can imagine some very exciting customizations and kit bashing going on with this one. So out the gate, you get a very complete model of the standard T60 armor, but you can actually paint this one or weather it. I think this would look really, really great with weathering because it's meant to be metallic. So if you apply a lot more weathering to the kit, you'll get one that's worn down by the ages, a relic of nuclear war gone by. And also included in the kit are, for some reason, there's a very small Nuka-Cola bottle, and then there's some weaponry and some alternate hand pieces as well for posing the armor with the weaponry. And the weaponry included, there's like a railgun, and then there's a small grenade launcher type weapon. I'm not really sure what that's actually called. Fallout fans, please leave a note in the comments what this weapon is called. I won't read it, but I will acknowledge that you're going to leave the comment if you know what it is. And yeah, the Nuka-Cola bottle is a very cute detail. But I'd like to see more kits in the Fallout series, or based on the Fallout series. I think that'd be very, very nice indeed. I'm not really sure what they would make next. There's a few other options for power armor designs, but then there's also a lot of different characters that they could make as well. So we'll see if Good Smile chooses to adapt more Fallout characters, but if not, this could very well suit the discerning Fallout fan for all your model kit needs. So moving on, the next figure I want to recommend is another Nendoroid, and it is Nendoroid Y'shtola from Final Fantasy XIV. I couldn't believe when I saw this Nendoroid announced, like genuinely actually astonished. For the last few years or so, I feel like I've seen a pattern with Final Fantasy XIV characters, but maybe even Final Fantasy characters, especially in general, where Square Enix themselves produces a lot of their own brand of figures and kits. And so it didn't seem possible to me that we would get a Final Fantasy XIV character, or maybe even any Final Fantasy character in the Nendoroid series, at least for quite some time. And so this was quite a surprise. Not only is it a Final Fantasy character, but this is one of my personal favorite Final Fantasy characters. And it's Y'shtola, and it's based on her incredibly slay outfit from Shadowbringers expansion. She's got this cool black dress, she's got the staff, and I think this it looks great, it looks fantastic. And yeah, I think this is a really, really impressive Nendoroid on its own, but actually they're releasing a few more Final Fantasy XIV Nendoroids later down the line. So I believe we've also got Emmett Selk coming and Graha Tia, and I think if I was, you were hearing these names without context, you'd think I'm making this up as I go along because Emmett Selk and Graha Tia do not sound like real names at all, but they are, and they're amazing characters. So I'm really excited to get more and more Final Fantasy characters in general. But I believe they opened the floodgates with this when they started to introduce some of the earlier Final Fantasy entry characters. I think early on in 2026, we had, there was at least a Chocobo Nendoroid, if I recall. But yeah, it seems like they're doing a complete set now of Final Fantasy XIV characters. And because we've got Y'shtola and Graha Tia on the way, I kind of assumed that they would do all of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, and we'd get Thancred and Urianger and Alphinaud and Alizé. But actually, they've kind of started to steer also into the direction of the villain characters. And we seem to be getting Emmett Selk and Yotsuya first, before those other Scions of the Seventh Dawn. And so that's kind of an interesting direction to go. It's not, I don't really understand the logic behind it necessarily, but I do know that Emmett Selk in particular has a lot of fans, and so there's a lot of people out there who'll be very, 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 very happy that Emmett Selk is finally getting a Nendoroid figure release. Like I say, Square Enix themselves, they tend to produce their own figures, and I think there's been what they call the Adorable Arts series for their Final Fantasy XIV characters. But actually not just Final Fantasy XIV, the entire series. And so 7 and 9, they've all had characters appear in this Adorable Arts vinyl figure series. But yeah, it's great that we're finally getting it in other Good Smile company releases as well. Then to move on and perhaps even give a final recommendation here to wrap this up. The next figure I want to recommend is this is also in the Plamatia series. This is Plamatia, hang on, I don't want to get the name wrong. Plamatia Black Honey from Cutie Honey Nova. Now, I haven't seen Cutie Honey Nova, but this kit I think will probably appeal to a lot of you, given the fact that so many of you ordered Plamatia Cutie Honey that I can only assume that many of you will want to order Plamatia black honey. Now this is kind of a edgy alternate version of QT honey from what I can assume. And you know, without knowing anything about this series at all, it's quite interesting to me that it's almost literally a parallel design and has a very, very similar design aesthetic, design philosophy to the Plamatia QT honey that we recently had, but it's way edgier. This is like the Shadow the Hedgehog of the QT honey universe, I assume. But what I like about this kit is, much like the QT honey kit before it, it's got these very, very cool translucent parts and a very, 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 very interesting weapon piece as well. There's this very long katana piece with a sheath, but actually there's multiple katana pieces included in this kit. So you can kind of pose this character dual wielding and stuff like that. But much like the T60 power armor that we just discussed, as a Plamatia kit out of the box when you build, you don't actually need to add any additional paint or anything to make this look good or screen accurate. Once you've built it, it's kind of already at that stage. But what I really like about this kit is the diversity of parts and the translucent parts included that really add to the visual vibrancy of the overall finished design. And as you can see on the product page itself, this would look very good when displayed next to the original Plamatia QT honey kit as well. And so for the QT honey fans out there, I think you're gonna want to get your hands on this one. And so I assume now we're at 20 minutes-ish, 18 minutes maybe. So to wrap this up, everything that I've just discussed is actually available to pre-order right now on HLJ.com. That's www.hlj.com. And let me know if you like this video style. Leave a comment and say, I liked this or I hated this. If you want Todd back, please write, please bring Todd back, and we'll bring Todd back. You know, and outside of that, there's lots of other exciting stuff coming on this channel very soon. At the moment, we're trying to upload as much as we possibly can. So let us know what you want to see. And if there's something that you particularly want to see on this channel, you can leave a comment and we will try and do just that. But yeah, maybe I'll be back again with more recommendations in July. Maybe I won't, you don't know. And that's part of the fun of this channel, I think. But Todd maybe definitely will be, but maybe not, we don't know. So for now, I'm gonna wrap this up and say goodbye. So thank you for joining us on the HLJ.com official YouTube channel, and we'll be back again soon. Please subscribe if you want more videos like this. Goodbye.